Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of American Gothic. So, a very good and very interesting episode of American Gothic. I think this is their first time they've really done something very different with, like, the story aspect to it. I mean, I'm glad this episode had its own episode. Basically, this is a very heavily Garrett-centric episode. We finally got to learn a little bit more about his past, what he did in these past 14 years. Granted, it jumped around, but it's like, you never really expected him to show you everything. I'm surprised. I mean, I guess it was so much story that needed to be told. It's like they had to kind of space it out like that. Like, rather than it just being like, it gave you like a general idea. It gave you a full idea of like what he went through over these past 14 years. That basically he went off, he would break into people's cabins. It was near a lake house that his family rented. That's why he stayed at that particular area, because he knew it pretty well. And so basically break into different houses, cabins specifically, and kind of stay there until like people popped up, and then he left and made it look like he wasn't there at all. Until he came across someone in particular, a guy named Jenkins. And this guy basically taught him everything he knew. It was kind of interesting because you know, they started off at odds because it's like, oh, you're trying to break into my place. But then, you know, he even brought it up in the episode. He didn't really have any family left. Most of his family's kind of died out over the years. And I guess it was kind of a new start for both him and Garrett, because it was like they were kind of the only real interactions they really had. I mean, granted, we don't know much about Jenkins' life outside of like Garrett. I mean, a little bit we found out, but it's like he would drop by the cabin like, the initial deal was basically, I'll drop by every month. You know, I'll stop by, not every month, I'm sorry. I'll stop by like once a month out of the year. So he's like, if that's too frequent for you, if you want me to, we can cut that back to being half. And Garrett was kind of like, it's okay for it being like a month. Because Garrett's not really afraid of being around other people per se. It was more so like, that was the reason he gave this, why he kind of stayed away from his family. So that was kind of interesting. Like, who knows, like, whether it really was just 1 month every year, or did... You know, because it seemed like Jenkins actually started appreciating his company and was, you know, we didn't see it, but maybe he stopped by more and more often as it progressed. I mean, because it was moving year to year, so it's not like you really saw, but maybe more often than not, he stopped by more than that. Or maybe he kept the arrangement, but, you know, maybe it was something he actually looked forward to. Because it was kind of interesting, because he brought up a particular member of his family, Julie, and she was basically his niece, and she was like the only person in his family he really cared about. It's kind of like Garrett and Tess. That was kind of the parallels they were kind of bringing up. That's what the conversation was about. And he was talking about the fact is that his niece Julie had died in a car accident, and he'd give anything to have her back. Like, he cared about his family to a certain degree, but it's like Julie that he missed the most, because she was kind of like, she was just such an oddball kid a little bit, and just... she was very special to him, just like Tess is. Like, he loves the rest of his family, but, you know, Tess always is like that, the little sister that, you know, because, you know, out of anyone in the family, Tess has always had the most faith in Garrett, and ended up kind of being the more one attached to him. And that's another aspect of this episode I loved. It's like, fact of the matter is, you have Garrett being in the situation he's in. What's I'm surprised, like, we start off with him already arrested. He's already in jail, because it's like, I thought they would have made a bigger deal out of him being arrested. Like, that would have been something we saw. But it's like, nope, by the moment the episode starts, Brady's already interrogated him, because Brady's like, and I like what Brady was saying. He's basically like, oh, we have this, like, you know, basically when it comes to, you know, this type of situation, an innocent person will be pacing back and forth. Typically, they're panicked because they know, they're just like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm in this situation. Where someone who's guilty might tend to be calm. They'll sleep through the night. They're just kind of cool, calm, and collected, kind of showing, I guess, that unnerving side of themselves that, like, yeah, it shows that they're guilty because they have no empathy or sympathy about their situation, that they're kind of just been like, who cares? I'm not going to stress about it. So they sleep very peacefully. But he's talking about, for the fact is, Garrett, he was calm and steady, but he never slept throughout the night. He stayed wide awake. So he's like, I don't believe you did any of the killing, but you were there. Your dad probably did all the killing, but you were an accomplice. It's like, basically help me out here, and we can help you out. But Garrett's still keeping his mouth shut, because his mom's even bringing it up, and she's like, giving him a lawyer and everything. He's initially like, no, because to him, he's like, he always knew it was going to go this route. He even says it to the lawyer. It's like, I always knew I'd end up in jail. He already knew from the beginning that things were going to turn out this way in some shape or form. And, you know, it's like, he's keeping his mouth shut for a particular reason. And it's like, when you find out it ended up, which I'll get to that soon enough. I'm bouncing all over the place. I hate that I do that, but I'm sorry. What I was getting to it for is like how he's like, in the situation he's in, and he wants to kind of make amends. He's basically like reflecting on things, like a whole situation with Cam, talking to Cam from in rehab, and Cam's like, they could save a trip, if the prison was closer to the rehab, they could save, a car trip, and they're, laughing about their situations. But, Garrett was like, I'm really sorry, there's so much I missed out on, and he's like, I'm sorry. He's basically being like, Cam's like, don't, you already got enough on your plate. Don't worry about my addiction, because that's not your fault. That was something I've dealt with for years. Don't blame yourself for that. And Garrett's like, but maybe things would be different if I'd been around. He's like, there's just so much I missed out on. And, he actually told him, he's like, I'm proud of you. He's like, really? Your brother who's in rehab right now? He's like, not that particularly, but the fact of the matter is you always stayed yourself. You went off, had this life, you had a career, you had a family. Like, I'm very proud of you. It was just kind of like, wow. Even had a moment with Allison. Allison's like willing, she's like, I'm gonna give you help. Like, cause she's like, I don't believe the fact is that you were dad's accomplice. You two couldn't work together on the simplest things without almost coming to blows. And then he's like, well, what about the fact is that you initially thought, when it was just me by myself, that I was potentially the killer? And she's like, I'm sorry, it's kind of water under the bridge. And, it's interesting to see that dynamic of like the family mending itself together. It's like, because even she's like, there's no way you could be dad's accomplice, because the fact is y'all could never get along about anything. So it's just like, I'll use all my power. I can help you out in any shape or form you want me to. And he's like, thanks, sis. It's just, it was sweet, And then finally there was Tess, who still didn't believe it, coming to ask Garrett, and Garrett's asking the questions about the fact is that she's pregnant. Even, he even talked to Brady and was like, Brady, I'm happy like that you're part of my sister's life. You're a good guy, a good police officer. I'm glad you're with my sister. It's a good thing my sister found a good guy like you, and the fact is you're having a baby, and, it's just, I hope things work out for you guys. And just, multiple, like in Brady's case, Brady's like, I don't know what the hell you're doing. Like, what you're trying to play at. Garrett's not trying to play at anything. Like, he's always respected Brady because Brady is a good guy, and it's like that my sister's in love and she's happy, and that's kind of all I care about. And it was so interesting how, it's almost, because in Brady's mind it's almost like, what the hell are you doing? Are you playing some kind of sick, twisted game? The fact is your sister believed you in so much, and now, you see her torn up about it. And it's so interesting because, like, because Tess was like, please tell me that you didn't kill anyone. And Garrett said, like, no, I can't tell you I didn't do that. And the moment he said that, I was like, I already know what the deal is. You didn't, like, even before it came out, like, at the nearing the end of that, like, like what happened with the whole Jenkins situation, which was really sad. I knew it was going to go that route. I was like, he's the one person you killed, didn't he? That's why you said you couldn't tell Tess that you didn't kill anyone, because you have killed someone. But that was more out of mercy because his friend was sick and he was dying. He's like, I don't want to be in this pain anymore. I don't want to go to a hospital. This is the end. He had a hard situation, and it's just like, I just, put me out of my misery. And you see how hard that was for Garrett, because for Garrett, it's just like, naturally, it seems like it's easy to kill. It's like, because Jenkins brought it up before. It's like, oh, for most people, they get a little squeamish when it comes to killing things, but you kind of do it very naturally. Even in that case, it still was hard for him to kill Jenkins. Because you might think, like, oh, things are the way Garrett is, that it might be easy for him, but it's like, no, because Jenkins to him was the only friend he had for the past, like, 14 years. It was almost like another father to him. Probably like a real, like, I don't know, because from what we hear about him, Mitchell and Garrett's relationship, it seemed like obviously they didn't get along. So this is the first time he had a father figure that he really got along with. And I don't know, it was really sad that he had to do that. Like, he did out of mercy, but that still couldn't have been an easy thing to do. And that's something he had to keep hidden from people. Like, having that weight on your shoulder, like killing someone that you care about. I mean, even if I was out of mercy, that's still, like, you still ended up killing someone. And because he was talking about the fact that he wanted to get, tell Tess the truth, about, I don't know whether it was that particular situation, about the fact is of conveying the truth about, okay, I've killed a certain person before, and tell her that truth, or the other truth that we ended up finding out at the end of the episode, which I'm just, that obviously the biggest thing. Fine, I'll just get to it because it's like I want to talk about. Fact of the matter is, SBK accomplice killed Jennifer because Jennifer was looking into it, which I'll get to that in a second. Like, the fact is she was looking into that and ended up being caught up in SBK's accomplice's crosshairs, and then it was just like, she was basically like told to read a message live on television, basically, but like, you basically basically saying, forget about me or I will remember, like, and I will ignore all of you. But if you remember me, if you pay too much attention and keep drawing so much attention towards me, I will come after and I will haunt all of you, essentially, the entire town, kind of warning the entire time. I will start killing heavily again. And kind of feel bad for Jennifer. Like, she was kind of in that situation because Allison put her in that situation. But the fact of the matter is, and we have Garrett at the end of the episode, Madeline's walking in and like, what have you done, Garrett? And then he's turned around, he's like, he tried to kill me. Meaning Garrett killed the real SBK. It's like, wait, what? Did not see that coming. I was like, what the fuck? I never in my mind would I've seen that coming. And it's like, but then at the same time, it's like, I guess I understand why his family covered it up. It's like, is it really worth killing Mitchell over? You know, in Madeline's case, like, is this something, why is it so, like, such a bad thing that he killed a serial killer? I guess it would have been like his word versus Garrett. It would have kind of been a he said she, well, not really in his case. It would just, I guess most people would, you know, he's very meticulous and he covered up a lot of stuff. So I guess in their mind, it would have been like, you know, a very easy to be like, oh, Garrett outright killed someone. It's like, oh, he tried to kill them, but there's no evidence that he tried to kill Garrett. All the evidence points to Garrett just outright killing him. So there's that aspect to it, but also because of the family name, they didn't want to tarnish the family's name by having the eldest son, the one who's really supposed to, remember, Garrett was supposed to take over for his dad. He was the next in line to take over for his dad. So that would have also tarnished the Hawthorne name business-wise. So that's another reason. But it's like, Garrett was going to be SBK's next victim. So maybe that's why he clings to Christina so much, because he was going to be potentially another victim like her dad. So maybe that's, I don't know, maybe he kind of wanted to get in the like, you know, get close to someone else who's kind of suffered pain because the fact of the matter is SBK tried to kill him. SBK successfully killed her dad, but tried to kill him. So maybe that's where he felt like tragedy could have brought them closer together. But like at the end of it, no matter what the case may be, they cover that up. It's like, why didn't you say anything? And that's going to be what's going to come out now. It's like, the fact is, hope maybe now that SBK's accomplice is risen, it's like, okay, now we know Garrett isn't an accomplice. It's also like, so what have you been hiding this entire time? And maybe he'll come clean. I killed SBK. That's what the whole knife situation is about. That's what Cam saw all those years ago with the body dragging down. That's the real SBK that Mitchell was disposing of the body. So like I said from the beginning, the family covered up something, and it was the fact is that Garrett killed the real SBK. That's why the killing stopped 14 years ago, because the real killer died. And it makes you wonder, does SBK's accomplice, whoever they are, do they know that Garrett's the one that killed him? I don't know. They probably never really found out the truth. That's why their accomplice hasn't done anything, because the accomplice was most likely someone very weak-minded. SBK was the one that kind of ran the show. And maybe the accomplice helped out on certain things, or maybe the accomplice was simply there to be like, oh, okay, here I am, helping SBK. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe they helped out, maybe they didn't. Maybe they were trying to learn the ropes from SBK before they actually did anything, and that's why they haven't killed in the past 14 years, because they're just kind of a weak-minded person that doesn't know how to act on their own. So maybe in that person's eyes, they've lost their way because their mentor is going, like, it makes you wonder, like, find out the truth of who was the real SBK. What if it was a twisted situation where it's like, I mean, just throwing this out as a hypothesis, what if Christina's dad was actually SBK and Garrett killed him, and they, like, Mitchell and them staged the whole situation at Christina's house to make it look like he was another SBK victim when he himself was SBK, and maybe that's really why Garrett wanted to get close to her to see, you know, maybe does she have her dad's tendencies? And if she did, you know what that would make it seem? That would mean Christina was actually SBK's accomplice and stuff like it. Because let's not forget, she was old enough at the time. She was like 16 at the time. So it's not like she was like a little girl at the time. So you never know. I don't know. The more I'm throwing that possibility out, the more interesting that would make, especially considering the fact is, very interesting considering the fact that she's carrying Garrett's baby now, which was kind of like a whoa, didn't see that coming. Because they just threw that out casually because Jack was having a conversation. It's like, yeah, Aunt Tess went to get her ultrasound and we ended up running into Christina. It's like, oh, and he's like, Garrett was like, okay, she must be working at a new place or something. It's like, no, she was there as kind of a patient. And it clicked in his brain and he asked her, and it's like, I really love the fact is that he was like, okay, I'm getting out here. I have to get out here now because I have a kid now. And, you know, because he had brought it up to Jenkins in the conversation, like the fact is, you know, because he had been spying on his family. Like he basically went back to that lake house every so often to see if his family was going to be there. And most often than not, they wouldn't be. But then one time he ended up checking back. They ended up being there. He saw his family. Cam apparently was married, had Jack. Allison was pregnant, saw Brady and Tess, and it was just, you know, when he actually snuck in and gave her his number and they were talking on the phone and she was asking all those questions, but he couldn't give her any answers, and just like it literally almost made me choke. I was like, that's so beautiful, dude. Like, that's how they stayed in contact all these years. Like he, you know, he couldn't let go of his little sis, you know. That's so, it was just like that legitimately almost made me tear. I was like, that's beautiful, dude. You see her tearing up on the other side of the phone and him tearing up, just like not being able to be close to his family, like having to stay away because of the secrets they have. So that at the end of it all really explains why he left, because it was probably not necessarily his decision. It was more like most likely his mom and his dad's decision of like, you just have to stay as far away from us because you sticking around will end up drawing more, like basically, you know, it's going to draw more attention towards his family. Or maybe it was Garrett's decision. He was just like, I can't live with this lie. Like if I stay around this family, I'm going to be like, you know, all he's going to be able to see in their eyes is a reflection of himself, you know, the lie that he's created. So I don't know. Like I cannot let that go. Like why is it that they covered that up? It's like I brought the examples of why I think they would cover it, but still it doesn't make sense why they would cover that up. Your son stopped a serial killer, like legitimately, and it's just, I don't know. And is this really worth killing your own husband over? Like I said, I still have to go back to that. I don't know. Like like I did not expect that twist, and I love it. I always love the twist more when I don't. I like it when I'm able to see the twist coming. I'm like, oh, I caught that. Yeah, I'm so cool. I was so right about that. But like when I really don't catch it, I really, really enjoy it. And then also, I kind of feel bad for Jennifer. Granted, she was put in that situation by Allison because Allison wanted her to investigate the current mayor. Because she's like, okay, I'm 7 points behind the current mayor. She's like, I can't let that happen. Dig up some dirt and take him down because I need to win this. Basically, you know, continuing to blackmail her. And so it was interesting what she ended up finding out. She ended up finding out that Cutter actually has some kind of connection with the mayor, but she was having some kind of secret meeting with him in his car. So that's like, wait, what is that about? And then you had the whole situation with Garrett's lawyer finding out that there was some missing evidence. And just like, even Brady, as well as what's her name, Dana, the one lady who does the DNA and stuff like that, is like, wait, they kind of looking like, wait, what? Because even so, I don't know, maybe that's connected to Cutter because Cutter did him a favor, got rid of that particular evidence because it was connected to him. Not saying he's necessarily SBK's accomplice or whatever, but the fact of the matter is that they have some kind of connection to this case that they're trying to cover. Or the fact of the matter is Cutter did some off the books work for him. Like anytime something might come up shady for the mayor, she kind of dispose of the evidence. So that's what that is connecting to. It's not connected to SBK. Maybe it had some evidence into one of SBK's cases, but it was more so connected to some shady stuff he was doing, so he needed Cutter to cover up. That's what I'm thinking. I mean, it could be directly connected to SBK, but I feel like it's more like an indirect, you know. But the fact of the matter is, she ended up getting killed by SBK's accomplice. And, you know, that's going to mess with Allison hard because she's like, holy crap, I'm the one that put her in that situation. Because I feel like all this is going to tie back into Allison. The fact is that she like blackmailed her essentially into doing that and ended up getting her killed because she started digging into something she had no business digging into. So I do feel bad for her in that sense. I wasn't expecting her to get like killed. Like the moment, like there was like, okay, like I thought someone was weird when they were like, okay, now, like, you know, they were in the news. They're like, okay, now signing over to, you know, Jennifer. And it took a while. I was like, wait, why the hell is that? And then we saw what happened. I was like, wait, okay, so is SBK's accomplice trying to make it like, okay, Jennifer is announcing that she's accomplice. And it's like, no. He's making her read a script because like basically having her say his or her words. So it's like, okay. I was like, wow, that's just insane. Like, that's just the twist and turns. It's so good, dude. I just can't wait to see next week's episode, like to find out more, because the lawyer was able to get Garrett out, and the fact of the matter is all this does clear Garrett. So it does make you wonder what Christina's going to do now. She's going to be like, wait. Because it's like, it's got to be hard for Christina, because it's like, wait, your family was connected to it. Now, you're SBK. Wait, you're not SBK, but your family's connected to SBK. Wait, your family's not connected to SBK because SBK's accomplice isn't you, so this might mean that your dad wasn't SBK. It's just so much. And then also, I'm completely leaving somehow. That also explains why Mitchell's blood was on, one of the potential victims from like all those years ago, because he was covering up a crime. Like I don't know for sure. Is the evidence they're going on from Christina's dad's case? I'm telling you, dude, if she's not, I don't know. My brain is racked with so many thoughts about this. It was so good. Hands down, now this is probably my favorite episode now, because it was just so good. Like it's a good, solid episode of finally getting Garrett's side of the story, like finding out what he's been through and finding out at least this part of the truth. We don't have the entire truth, but it's slowly piecing itself together. Like, what episode is this? This is episode 10, right? So there's like 3 episodes left, I think. If this is episode 10, it might be 9, but I'm pretty sure it is 10. So there's like 3 more episodes. I have no idea where this is going to go. Like, there's no real telling like how this might all play out, because you might, it's still enough time for you to have some twists and turns here and there. So I'm very, very highly curious to see where we go next episode. But that's really all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.